This is going to be a great initial show here because it's starting off with Lara laughing at what reason we have no idea. Why don't you explain to us? What are you laughing about?
The kitchen. And Blaze, our dog, is just like standing there. He's just like doing nothing at all. But it's so hilarious. He's given up. He's lying down. But I have to say, if you hear a head shake, I apologize. It's Blaze. He does it all the time. He's an old man. He gets some forgiveness. He shakes his head. It's annoying.
Yeah, you just have to know that in this house where you've got 3 dogs and 3 chickens, you could hear something at any time. It could be like whining or scratching or barking or
Yeah.
anything
And
to.
Anna, the German Shepherd, who is she's just she's just Anna. If the
I
camera
don't know what
goes
that means.
flying, she's just Anna. She's crazy. But if things like fly around or whatever, it's because she like bumped into things or wagged her tail or whatever. She doesn't realize how big she is. So
Yeah,
she's
so we got Anna to be a protective German Shepherd, and she's a very sweet, pretty girl, but she's
she
kind of
is.
got like a wire loose, and she doesn't really act like a
Yeah.
German Shepherd.
There's
She's
at
got
least
problems.
there's at least one wire loose. In fact, we went to a trainer a few years ago with her, and we have another German Shepherd named Akira. Akira did great. I mean, she's big, beautiful, exactly what you think a German Shepherd should be. But even the trainer was like, with Anna, he's like, I can't train that out of her. So we were like, okay, well, that's what we have. We have Anna. So
Yeah, so thus is the designation for the name of the show, God's Titanium Garbage Dumpster. And what I
yes.
mean by that is simply like, I'm like, so the analogy is okay, when I was growing up, I was like, Lord, yes, I'm ready to be whatever you wanted me to be. And he's like, okay, we're going to make you out of titanium. You're going to be super, super strong. And I'm like, yes, all right. I'm going to be like, I'll be a tall building, Lord, and I'll point the way to you as a skyscraper, or maybe I'll be a bridge, and like unite people for you, Lord, or maybe I'll be a ship and I'll carry people across terrible waters for you, Lord. And God's like, great, that's fantastic, great, great, great. What I really want you to be is a titanium garbage dumpster,
Garbage
and
dumpster.
I want you
You
to,
just take it.
yeah, I want you to take the trash from other people, and
Yeah.
you sit in a back alley, kind of forgotten for a while, and that's what I'm calling you to do. And I'm like, okay, God, I guess
Thanks.
that's cool, but
Yeah.
how are you going to use that? And over the course of my life, I found that like in losing and having grand visions, but also like kind of getting beat up and forgotten and left in the back alley like a dumpster, it's also a way that God uses me to help other people to like dump their trash to where they can process and they can get rid of their negative burdens and such. In
Yeah,
my
I know you
general,
do that. You do that for me all the time. Like you take my trash because sometimes I get like in these moods and stuff, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty, and you're very good about being very patient. Like the look on your face right now is kind of the look you have. Like
no,
I'm
I'm
just no,
listening. I'm listening.
that I'm saying it is a good thing. It's like a. It's not a look, it's like I'm listening, I'm processing. You're kind of going a little bit crazy, but I'm going to take your garbage because I know you need to get rid of it so that you can go on and do the things that you need to do. So I'm validating. I'm validating
Gotcha.
you. Yeah,
But that's
yeah.
exactly right. And I wouldn't say that you dump your trash on me hardly ever. You're like an angel, to be honest. And I'm not just saying that for the 2 people that are going to watch this show. I'm saying it because like, hey, if there's anybody in this world who's an angel, it's you. But yeah, on the rare times, like maybe you're teaching school and you come home and you need to vent. It's like that's where I think definitely both of us. But it's like we
Mhm.
take the that kind of garbage of those negative emotions and we just take it and let the other person vent and dump it off. And I think that's a way of humbly serving other people around us. That happens to me all the time. Like definitely people respect me in different situations and all that. But let's just take baseball. Okay. Let's take
Okay.
baseball. So, you look behind me here, there's one of the jerseys from a team that I played for before. And like it's okay, I follow Jesus. Okay, my whole goal is to glorify the Lord. Okay, that's just a team that I played for. They're the only team that drafted me, so they're the Hellcats. Okay, so don't think that this is a show and the subtle messaging behind us is the Hellcats. No, okay, that's a team that I played for, and I brought the light of Christ to that team. Okay, But my goal is like, Lord, I want to play baseball and I want to glorify you in all that I do. And of course, I think some of that would mean winning, here and there winning. And commonly it's like, God's like, thank you. I appreciate that. But actually, you're going to lose. You're going to not perform very well all the time. And you're going to take the garbage and everybody's going to be upset with you for losing. But in that way, I'm gonna help you learn humility, and you're gonna take the garbage, and you're kind of gonna be alone and forgotten in a back alley as a baseball player, but you're gonna glorify me anyway. And that's been really hard because I'm playing for the Padres now, which is more like faith, and that's like the Catholic Padres or the Friars. We're guiding people through church to Jesus. But when I started on that team, that's definitely not what the team was about at all. And there was definitely Christians on the team, but I they were not people who really wanted to do anything with following Jesus or the Lord. And so over the course of a couple years, couple seasons with them, I think the Lord has really revealed his presence through me. And although I would lose and like I'd be pitching and we would lose because I didn't do that great of a job, I would still be grateful and glorify the Lord and uplift everyone around me, no matter how difficult it was, because it was hard to feel like a loser and be a loser and still glorify the Lord. And yet I saw the team change around me and the league honestly change around me just because of
Well,
the
and
Lord's
I
presence through me.
I think that too, part of that is your presence, the way you present yourself, because you do come across as someone with a lot of authority, a lot of self-confidence. And, if you were just kind of this diminutive kind of guy, people wouldn't really listen to you. But you have great stature, you have great confidence. And in addition to that, you're very loving and very kind, and you really do try just to serve others and just to make people feel good about themselves. And so I think that that's the why you're so successful in helping people really change who they are. And the other thing that I love about you, and this was something I saw years ago when Andy went back to Texas A&M to get his degree, and he joined the Corps of Cadets as a 40-year-old man. But one of the things I saw you doing was you were not afraid to be excited. You were not afraid to say, I am thrilled to do this. I love doing this. I want to do this. And that's something that I think a lot of people are afraid to do. I know I am, because when you say, I'm excited about this, if someone does something to go against that, it's very hard. It's you have to like open yourself up, to admit you're excited. And that's something that you do very easily, is just be like, I'm excited. I want to do this. I want to be with you. I want to be part of this. And that really guides others to want to take that same leap of faith and say, I'm excited too. I want to be
Yeah,
this person too.
I feel that because the other part of me is my last name, Christ Joy, like the joy in Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
That's definitely what I feel, but I'm a normal person. I'm goofy and I'm joyful, but I get beat down just like anybody else. And so I definitely feel that, like going into a situation like Texas A&M University where there is a lot of joy and tradition and celebration. Yet also I went in my 40s as an older guy into an outfit where it had older people who were used to the world. They weren't like 19, 20, 21 years old coming in. They were older guys, like male and female, coming in where they'd been through some of the military experience. They've been through real world experiences, and they weren't as old as me, but they were like later 20s, later 20s.
You're
Okay.
saying these older people, and I'm like, they were
Maybe
like 12 years younger than you.
maybe young 30s, and they'd come in, but by that time you start to get some life experience and life kind of beats you down. And so when you go into an organization like the Corps of Cadets as an older person, later 20s, 30s, for me 40s, you have that life and all the experiences which maybe they lead you the direction of being negative and cynical, because you know what the world is really about and it beats you down, right?
Yeah.
And so I think part of, like you said, my ministry is to be that joy, and it lifts people up, but I also have to take their garbage with it because they're not used to being that joyful. And I mean, sometimes it's kind of over the top and I'm goofy. I'm like, hey guys, what are we doing today? But not all the time. Most of the time, it's very well placed to where I'm just excited and I uplift other people to go along with me.
But it's like
But
layers of an onion. Like when people come to you, you have to peel away the layers that you don't want, right? The negativity, the frustration, because that's what people naturally, I think, are going to express as negativity. And but you've got to peel all those outer layers off in order to get to the good stuff, the
yeah,
joy and the happiness.
absolutely. So I bring it back to the baseball team, to where when I got drafted onto the Padres, because I play for an amateur rec league in Houston, but they're very serious. Like, I went to these tryouts and the team drafted me and people chose who they're going to pick. It's very serious. It's awesome. Okay. But when I was at the tryouts, well, first of all, in the season previous, I threw in the All-Star game because I did really well in the previous season, and I dominated the All-Star game for two innings. And then I came into the tryouts for like the draft selection for the next year, and I was awesome, man. Like, I was throwing, everything was electric. My fastball was really fast, my slider was moving, my knuckleball was all over the place. And so the Padres selected me number one of all of their selections. Okay, the Houston Padres, by the way, not the San Diego professional Padres, not yet. Okay, and so I
No.
go on to this team. They're so happy they got me. They hugged me when I met them. Okay, they put me in as the starter at the opening of the season game, and I blew it. I blew it, and it was I was so embarrassed. I remember they pulled me. I think it was after in the second inning because I was not doing well. They pulled me, and I'm standing in the dugout. Nobody would talk to me. They were so disappointed. And there was also this divide between people who spoke English and people who spoke Spanish. And it was just so awkward. I was so embarrassed. It was terrible. I was standing in the dugout. Nobody was talking to me. And I was like, I wanted to cry because I was so destroyed from not doing well. I wanted to pitch well for them because they believed in me, and I blew it. And that's the whole part of this titanium garbage dumpster setup. Like, God made me out of titanium because I'm resilient, and I never stop, and I take beatings, and I take the garbage. So in that situation, it's like I wanted to serve these guys and to win for them and to help them because they believed in me. And God's like, cool, let's see how you glorify me when you lose. And it's embarrassing. And that was the hardest lesson to learn. It's like, just be garbage in a dumpster and be joyful anyway, and put the attention on other people and serve and uplift them. And it's not always fun. I mean, I love it when I'm uplifting them, but I always commonly feel terrible because I haven't done that well. So that's just baseball.
But I see that in you because I'm gonna kind of tell my perspective of what I see. So when I go to the games and you don't do well and you're very, very frustrated and even angry, what I see in the dugout is you patting people on the back. I see you coming out. I see you celebrating and really encouraging people. And then you leave the game and you get in the car. And that person who you were in the dugout, who is encouraging and loving and kind, that guy disappears. And what comes out is the frustration and the anger and the hurt. And it's interesting to see how in the dugout you can squelch that much down, that you can push that down for sometimes 2 hours that you have to do that, and 2 hours that you have to spend loving on people, encouraging people when you're dying on the inside. And then when we get in the car to head home, that's when you can finally like let loose. But I don't think people
Yeah, lucky you,
yeah.
lucky you. You get the 2 hours of driving from Houston back to where
Yay!
we live of me
Yeah.
venting. Well, I'm like, really, God, really? You told me you wanted to play baseball again in my 40s, and like you set me up for greatness, but really you just let me get beat down and I lose, and I'm not
Yeah.
that great.
Yeah.
And then you have to deal with the repercussions and try to pick up the pieces.
Well,
You're welcome.
I too, I guess I'm a titanium garbage
This is
dumpster.
yeah,
So,
this is true. It's like I get dumped on, I get to eat all the garbage, and then a lot of the times I'm like, come back home, and here's Lara, and I
yeah,
can dump that on you. So this is
yeah,
the perfect
I
show
get
for both of us.
I get the overflow. Like when it's too much and you gotta get rid of some. So,
Let's actually talk about our relationship. So we've touched on the name of this podcast and why it's called the Titanium Garbage Dumpster, God's Titanium Garbage Dumpster, and that's
yes.
it's humorous. It's a humorous title, but
Yeah.
that's the truth for I think what the Lord has
Hmm.
called me to and us to, and I think a lot of times us as Christians, because as Christians, I think there's the mystique of being successful and the Lord's going to bless you, and definitely that is in there. right? We know that the Lord takes care of us and he blesses us, and we look around at our lives, we're definitely blessed. But at the same time, it's not like it's the success gospel where we always win and we get everything we want.
Yeah.
And so the titanium garbage dumpster for the Lord is my humorous yet true observation about the goals, the visions, the dreams that I have, and then the reality of living in the world and how difficult it is to be a Christian. So we
Right.
pull it back to our relationship, like you and me.
Yes.
And I don't know, from your perspective as the wife who has to put up with a high maintenance, dreamer,
Yeah.
what would you say is your role and how things go?
I see my role as being steady for the course, being more like looking at just the little details of how do we make this work? How do I take care of these specific things so that Andy can be the dreamer, so that Andy can chase these bigger visions? Because I'm not that person. Like, while Andy's figuring out how to change the world, I'm thinking about how can I blend cottage cheese to make it into a dip? Like, those are the things that, and then Andy has to listen to me talk about the protein. I mean, these are the things that really take up my mind.
Yeah,
Um,
so there's like a common thing is like I'll be like, Lord, I just don't understand. And I'll be talking to Laura, like I'm trying to like change the world, and this is the obstacles that I'm coming up against and all that. And I'll turn to get an opinion from Laura, and she'll be like, yeah, so the cottage cheese we're going to use, it has like
yes.
50% protein. I'm like,
I'm like, it's so much better. Or I'll be like, I was thinking about my Christmas village for this year. And it's July, but this is
yeah,
what goes on in my mind. But I think that God really truly did put us together because I really think about and process and go through minor details, like things to keep the house running, like what's Andy gonna eat, where's the best place to buy the food so that we stay in budget, and I love to do those things. Like, I love to do those things. So it really does free Andy up to not have to even think about that. Those things
yeah,
just kind of happen around him.
that's actually a great point to our relationship because we've been married. Next month will be 27 years. But
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely not to say we haven't had major hiccups just like anyone else. And in fact, back in the year 2007, which is a long, long time ago, we've
An
been married
old
9
wooden
years.
ship.
Yeah. An
Yeah.
old wooden ship. We had been married 9 years, and we were good friends, but we really weren't communicating well as far as our different needs. And one of my needs is I wanted to be on an adventure, and I wanted to try different things. And so I wanted to go out to Hollywood and do some work in film out there. And that's not really what you wanted to do. You wanted to stay
No,
and make our home a nice place. Why didn't you want to go out there?
because I like the rut. Like, I like to get in my rut and kind of stay there and make it the nicest rut possible. Decorate it, have all the good things. And I was not. I've learned to be, but I was not an adventurous person. I was scared of it. And really, through being married to you, and even in those first 9 years, like, you taught me some adventure for sure, but I was still clinging to what I knew. And I think too, like, we were Christians, we went to church, and so I was just like, God's going to take care of us. Like, I didn't see my own responsibility to take on new roles and do new things to nurture the relationship. I just expected that God would keep it strong. So,
Right. So here's the thing. So we actually separated. This is back in 2007. We actually
mhm.
separated, and I went out to California and I lived some of my dreams out there. I went to film school. I didn't complete film school. I went to some semesters of film school. I was on some big Hollywood sets as a background actor, which is amazing. It was awesome. I was on some film productions, independent, lower level. It was great. I was living my dream. I was out there in Hollywood with the beaches and stuff like that. Um, and that was great. But very quickly, I recognized like I'm doing this without my best friend. And honestly, the things that I took for granted and I made fun of in you, such as your details and your
My
nesting.
Christmas village.
That's
My
exactly right.
Christmas village. You
I,
missed
I'm
my Christmas village.
I really did, and I made fun of it in the years previous because I'm like, this is stupid. Why are you putting so much attention and time into setting up a Christmas village? This is the dumbest waste of time, and I
Mm.
totally took it for granted. But when I was gone those months from you, when I was out on my own in California, it's like yes, I was living a part of my dream, but I really started to appreciate and miss the little details of the home that you created for us, which included most definitely with the Christmas decorations and all those details that I actually really loved. So in that time when we were separated, it actually was a very big blessing for both of us because we realized how we complemented each other. So my way was being the visionary, but in that I wasn't able to create like the home that I really cherished. And I recognized that you were the other half of me, that while I was being a visionary, you would go with me and create the home at the same time. So when I came back from California, because I was like, Lara, come out here to California. You're like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm
No,
like, come
no.
on.
It was too scary for me because there is, and I do think this is a good balance though, because I focus very much on like financially, can we do this? Like, does this make sense? And I will say that we have gone on some great adventures together. I mean, you did have to come back because I wasn't there yet, but we've made two movies together,
Yeah.
and we came out. You know, we moved to College Station to go to Texas A&M, so we've done some fun things. But I was not ready in that moment. I was like, no, I still needed a little bit of a rut back then for sure.
But I think that was the catalyst, that moment of our separation.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we reunited was when we both understood our roles, and we really learned from it because it was like, I'm the
Mm-hmm.
dreamer, the visionary that goes out and does things. And you go with me and you're phenomenal. I couldn't do the
Mm-hmm.
things that I want to do without you, but you were the one who filled in the details and maintained balance in the home. And we really started to learn how to do that then. And so you're right, from that point, when I came back from learning some things in Hollywood, we said, okay, now let's make some movies. And we started to really step out on faith and risk some things financially, but step out on faith so that when I said, all
Mm-hmm.
right, let's make a movie, you were much more inclined to say, okay, let's take some big financial risks and invest a lot of our time and talents and resources. But we started to live both of our dreams at that point.
Yeah. Well, and I thinking back to that, one of the things that I know you said to me was you don't have my back. When
Mm,
things come up, you don't have my back. And you were very right. I did not take up for you. I didn't have your back. I didn't support you the way I should have. And I remember when you came back, that was something that I had to make a very conscious effort to tell myself I have got Andy's back above all else. That's priority. And so appreciate that God changed that in me, because then when you said, "Hey, let's make movies," I knew I had to have your back. Like that was what I had to do. And so it definitely made me more willing. But then you put me to work and you made me like art director, and you made me really challenge myself, which I hated. I hated at the time. But you really pushed me out of my comfort zone. And now it's something that I look back on with a lot of just, I'm glad and I'm proud of what we did. And I'm so excited about the growth that brought for me to do those things.
Yeah, but that's very hard in a relationship when you've got two
Mm-hmm.
independent people who have ideas about how they should live. And that has been something that, of course, we've struggled with just like anyone else, but then I think we've
Mm-hmm.
started to get a lot better at. And so maybe what is it that helped change? I talked a little bit about what changed me as far as understanding, hey, no, these details that Lara brings to the relationship actually are very important to me. So I started to change in
Mm-hmm.
that reason. And actually, because of that, because of the details that I saw that you were really good at, that's why when I started to make films, I'm like, you know who's really good at details? Lara. So she should be the art director for this film. And the art direction is so good that you don't even think about all the things that you and your entire team did to make the sets look lived in and real. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like we used something that was pulling us apart to create something amazing and film together. But you're right,
Right.
that's really scary for couples
Mm-hmm.
because you give up control or you have to, trust the other person. And so when I remember when we made this film, this crazy low budget zombie film called Let There Be Zombies, which you can find on different platforms now.
Mm-hmm.
But when I said we're going to make this movie, and I'm like, there's going to be all these people and zombies and all these things that are going on. I remember seeing some of the doubt in your mind, but you never hesitated. You jumped in and were like, okay, let's just make this happen. and you getting my back is the way that I was able to become the man that I've always wanted to be. And it's like ever since I came back from when we were separated in 2007, we just both rolled together as partners. It's like I never
Hmm.
could have done it without you. So what is it about your position? Because there's a lot of couples, there's a lot of people out there to where there's just no way that they would have taken risks with each other like we have. So what is it about you, maybe, where you said, my husband's insane, he wants to make a zombie movie and spend a lot of money and get people lined up, but I'm going to trust him, we're just going to roll with it, because we put a lot of our finances on the line.
We did. Well, and as we've gone through the years and seen God take care of us each and every time, it's gotten, I would say, easier, because it's like, okay, God's taken care of us so many times before. We're just going to go out and trust He's going to do it. But honestly, in the beginning, what helped me do it was God. It was not me. And I was I was scared. I was scared. I didn't want to support you. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to spend the money. I didn't want to take the time. I just didn't. Period. And there's no way I would have done it on my own. I just feel like when we came back together, God just, when we were in that time of separation, it was awful for me. It was terrible. And I felt the entire time that we were going through that, I just felt like I was surrounded by all of this awfulness, but I felt like God was just kind of holding me out of the pit, like I was in His hands. And when we got back together, that never stopped, because it's hard to be with a visionary. It's hard to be with someone who is as driven as you. And it's not something that I naturally have the strength in me to do. I don't. And so it really is God just being like, remember, I've got you in my hand. Just, one day at a time, just keep going. Just trust me. I've got you. And I think that's what it was. I think God was like, you can trust me. You may not feel like you can trust your husband, but you can trust me. And
Are you talking about the
I mean,
film now, or what are we talking about?
the films, the
Yeah,
films,
because there was
definitely.
times when, like, we extended ourselves financially with a loan. We refinanced the house. I sold my
Hmm.
dream sports car to help pay for parts of this film. I mean, we had investors coming in from other portions who were giving us thousands of dollars, but like we had really put ourselves out there with a whole lot of our
Hmm.
own personal finances, and we were really extended. And I remember, oh, this is like the worst moment. Okay, this is the worst moment. So we had signed a contract and we got a distribution deal for our film Let There Be Zombies. That was our first major film. Okay, and
Hmm.
the distributors were very confident, and they said, okay, based on how other low budget zombie films have done, we think that your film will similarly make this kind of income coming in. And so I remember
Hmm.
we finished that film. We got the contract. We're waiting for the distribution money to come in, and then we said, okay, let's go ahead and make Prepper our next film. So we extended ourselves financially a whole lot. And I'm like, that's so cool. It's cool. We're gonna have this money coming in from our first film, and we extended it. And I remember getting the check. It was like Christmas Vacation, Christmas Vacation when he's
Yes.
extended himself because he got the pool, and he doesn't have
Hmm.
money to cover the down payment on the pool, and he's in front of his whole family, and he gets the check and he puts it right here, and he's like, if there's enough money for this, I'm going to fly you in just to dedicate the pool with me. That's exactly what it was for me. I'm like, here's the
Yes.
first check for Let There Be Zombies, and this is going to help repay a lot of this stuff for all the money we refinanced and spent for Prepper, our next film. And I went
Hmm.
to look at it, and it was $1,500.
Yeah.
$1,500, and we were wrecked. I knew we were in a very bad spot. It was terrible. It was like my gut dropped to the floor, my head exploded, and I'm like, "Where are you now, God? I trusted you. I stepped out on faith with both of these films, thinking that I was serving you. Not that the message of the film was about Jesus or anything at all. Back in those days, I was doing some crass stuff, and I think I went directions that I wouldn't go now as far as being a Christian. Maybe not. I don't know, because I was telling a story, but like we were in a very bad spot financially, and yet there you were, and you actually seemed to have a lot of confidence. Where'd that come from?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just in those moments, it's like, if I don't do something to help Andy, it's not going to be good. It's like you just have to, I don't know, set yourself aside, I guess, and like, I don't know. God did it. That's all I don't know, honestly. It was just God took care of it, is all I can say. He gave me confidence that I didn't feel on the inside, like you did when, after you pitch a terrible game and you feel awful on the inside, but then you go with your team and you lift them up and you support them and you encourage them, even though you're feeling awful on the inside. That it was just a similar situation, I think.
I could see that for sure. Because I could see you being, you didn't portray this, but I could see you being very scared too. But what you portrayed was confidence. And you're like, nah, we're going to get through this. We're going to take care of it. You know what? We'll refinance the house and things like that. And you were just very confident. But I think that came from your position and understanding that, like, if you didn't support me, we were going to collapse, because I was collapsing. Right. It's like, it was the whole titanium garbage dumpster scenario where I stepped out on faith and I'm like, okay, the Lord's going to take care of me. And he did not in the way that I felt like he would. Right. And it was super hard and I felt betrayed, and we're looking at our finances in a very, very bad spot. And yet in the long term, God took care of us, and you carried that confidence for both of us, but God ended up taking care of us. We were completely fine. And actually we were humbled, and we kept a humble profile throughout the entire process, so that instead of being these very successful, victorious, over the top winners, we were people that were taking a beating, stepping out on faith. And we worked with people around us in our film crew and the actors and all of that. And I think it was more of like a team effort instead of, well, we're stepping out on faith and we're being victorious, and the Lord's going to take care of us.
Yeah, I definitely don't feel like we've been the victors. Like, I never would look back on our life and be like, we're victorious, although we're incredibly blessed. And God has definitely taken care of us and held us through the years. But there's definitely never been that victorious warrior going out and doing great things that God has blessed. Because our movies never made a lot of money. They were great, and they're things that we watch and we feel so good about, and we're very happy with what came about. But it's not like it was the success that that you were talking about, that love God and you'll have success. Like, it wasn't that kind of success.
That's right.
And it makes me think about the verse, our Bible verse for our wedding was, delight yourself in the Lord and he'll give you the desires of your heart. And I found out that God tricks you. That verse is tricky, because it's not like you delight yourself in the Lord and he's going to give you money and wealth and the home and all that. It's you delight yourself in the Lord and he changes the desires of your heart. See, that's where he's tricky about that, is that he makes you desire more to do what he wants you to do, and you don't get all the original desires of your heart.
Yeah, but I think he does still give the desires of your heart, because just to stick with baseball, right? One of the desires of my heart ever since I was a little kid was to glorify the Lord in playing baseball. Like, people could see the Lord in me playing baseball. And of course, my goal was to be the most famous Major League professional baseball player, rich, with fans everywhere, to glorify the Lord. And the Lord didn't give me that, but he did let me play baseball. I mean, I'm 48 years old. I've returned to baseball. I'm still playing. And it is obvious that the Lord is using me to glorify him, because now team members and actually people in the league, they know that I'm all about the Lord. And so he did give me that desire of my heart.
But you're saying my point too, though. The original desire of your heart was to play MLB baseball.
No, that's still the original desire of my heart. Right. And I'm going to hold out for that. And I'm going to keep playing until I get that. Because darn it, God, you're going to give me that dream.
Yeah. So he gave you baseball, but it's not, I guess my point is that he does give you the desire of your heart, but he gives it to you in his way and what he sees as the perfect and appropriate way for you. And you have to learn to be like, okay, thank you for giving that to me, because you didn't have baseball at all. You didn't have it at all before. So at least now, and it's a wooden bat league, so you get to hit with a wooden bat. So, I mean, that's pretty exciting and fun.
Yeah, because it's a wooden bat league. So that makes it all great. Thanks, God. It's so much wooden bat league. It's not It's not those aluminum bats. Jeez, thanks, God. Okay, you gave me the desires of my heart for there. So there it is. There's a half-hour show or a little bit more I think that's what we'll go with. But really what we're trying to do here is connect with you to let you know that like we have grand visions of serving the Lord, and we do a lot of those things, but so many times it's about stepping out on faith and then just getting a beat down and taking the
Mm-hmm.
garbage all around us and still glorifying the Lord anyway. Why? Because that's what the Lord calls us to do. He calls us as Christians, as followers of Jesus Christ, honestly, to take the garbage. And I know in this world, that's opposite of what the world says. The world says, you don't take anybody's garbage. I don't take nothing from nobody. And perhaps that's
Right.
that's part of the way it is for Christians, right? Because Jesus does say, if they don't listen to you, shake the dust off your sandals and move on. But the Christian life is not easy. And so that's the humorous title to our show, God's Titanium Garbage Dumpster. We just keep going. We take the trash, but also we do it with love and we do it with joy because we want to. And sure, I'm not a Major League Baseball player, and there's no star for us on the Hollywood Walk of Fame yet.
Yeah,
But
there's
but
always hope.
yeah, but we see the Lord at work in our lives. We see the Lord at work in our lives, and we want to share that journey with you, so you can see what He's doing, what He's done in our lives, and how we are broken people, and yet we rejoice and we serve God, and we look forward to the next adventures. So that's a little bit of what we're doing. I don't know, did we accomplish that, or how do you feel about this first show there?
I feel like we probably went in thinking we were going to be victorious, victors, but we'll see. We'll see what God does with it.
Okay, now we haven't planned a closing line, so we'll just say that we shall see you next time. And thanks for stopping by.